Mr. H.M. Nerurkar. It's a pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to Mr. H.M. Nerurkar. He is the president of IMA's parent body, All India Management Association, and we are delighted with his presence here. Mr. Nerurkar is the chairman of TRL Krosaki Refractories Limited, a company which worked in the areas of quality control, steel and primary mills and marketing. He was appointed as the vice president and rose to the position of chief operating officer. He became the executive director on the board of Tata Steel, took over as the managing director, in charge of India and Southeast Asia operations. His talent has been recognized in the form of several awards: National Metallurgist, SAIL Gold Medal, Tata Gold Medal and many more. Mr. Nerurkar sits on the board of several Tata companies and is a trustee of Tata Steel Sports Foundation. He is a member of the General Body of the Sports Authority of India and governing body of CSIR Society. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. H.M. Nerurkar to enrich our minds with his views and words.
Good morning once again. Dr. Radhakrishnan, dignitaries on the dais, distinguished guests, members of the Indore Management Association, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank IMA for inviting me here, giving me this opportunity, because I had heard a lot about this conclave for quite some time, and I always used to wonder what a small place like Indore will do. And Mr. Goyal, of course, kept on telling me that what they do. But you have to really come here to believe what sort of a conference or a conclave is getting organized, and my compliments to IMA for doing so. As you know, All India Management Association is promoting excellence in management profession and management education. And we have some about 67 local management associations who help us out. But Indore Management Association is one of the star associations. I don't know how many of you know that it has won the Best Local Management Association Award for 10 consecutive years. Finally, we had to change the rule so that they can't win it anymore. They also involve a lot of students, and as you saw from the innovative way in which the AVs and show has been organized, I think the students have been working for over last 3 months. There have been lots of competitions, and what we see is the result of all the AVs and the animation. Today's my compliments to the students who have done this so well. Thank you. I am sure that we will see more innovations. I am told that the stage is going to be like Madison Square, where recently the PM spoke. So our heroes for the afternoon and the evening and tomorrow are going to be speaking from the central podium, which is going to rotate, which is one more innovation. And once again, I think let us clap for the 50 years of the IMA and congratulations. This is also my little lucky week in terms of science and technology. Yesterday I was in Pune, where I had an opportunity to hear Professor C.N.R. Rao, who recently won the Bharat Ratna. And there was absolute passion in his speech for the students about the role of science in our day-to-day lives. And he went all the way back to his student days and how his teachers inculcated the habits of science and love for science in him. And today we are quite fortunate that we have a practitioner of technology and engineering, Dr. Radhakrishnan, with us. And I am really thankful to you, sir, for being with us this morning. Coming back to the subject, I was told that we should talk something about the management and the corporate paradigms. And I'll just put some thoughts in your mind, basically to provoke you to think something rather than to give any advice or anything of that sort. Can I have slide number 1, please? Okay. Right, I don't know whether you can, how many of you can read this, but all of us will agree that we are all living in a challenging world. On one side, we have the stakeholder or the shareholder pressure, and we have plenty of examples of this. Even a PSU, when it divested some of its stake, like Coal India, I don't think thought that the investor will challenge some of its decisions. Then there are PE funds, there are equity research houses, which go through our documents, go through the published data, analyze them, and come up with various things. So one has to be continuously be prepared for a scrutiny. Secondly, we have lots of investors now who demand action, who demand results. So there is a quarterly results or a half-yearly results pressure on all of us. But more important is the social side. And you will see that we have a challenge of natural resources which are declining. And because of that, many times we behave quite differently. If you recall last 5 years, or let's say from 2004 to 2008 or 9, there was a mad rush for all resources. Be it coal, be it iron ore, be it oil, everything. And what's the situation today? All the prices have come down drastically. And let's say in our country, where people spend so much time in getting those mines, lots of efforts, good or bad, whatever you call that, and then suddenly one day you find that all coal blocks are cancelled, all iron ore blocks are cancelled. And the person has to now think, how is he going to run the business? That's a great level of uncertainty. Then comes, you saw the oil prices. Last year in Davos, I don't think anybody imagined that or even predicted what is going to happen next. And then suddenly we see oil prices plummeting down by almost 50% or even more. It's very good news for most of us, but bad news for some countries like Russia or Brazil. But recently, I could see another side of it, how it affects some of us or our colleagues. Goa, for example, has lost a lot in tourism this year. Why? Because the tourists from Russia, which used to come in great numbers, have not come. There was almost a 70% drop in the chartered flights which come. So the world is now very well connected. It's joined together almost. So any good event for somebody can turn out to be a bad event for somebody, and that's a great challenge. Of course, most of you know about the competitive intensity and how lots of things can change suddenly. You also know about the infrastructure problem and the skill problems what we have. And there are many other things. But there are two more which I have not mentioned here. One is that there is always a radical transformation in terms of information. Nothing is confidential anymore. You have to be extremely careful what you write, what you say, the way you behave. There is lots of openness about the information, and there is nothing which is going to be confidential. Yet, in this, you have to guard your IPR, you have to succeed, and that's a big challenge. There are two recent examples, as you can see. Number one was Sony. The system was hacked, presumably because of by North Koreans or whatever it is. But what happened to Sony was something amazing. Similarly, there was a blast furnace in Germany which was hacked. Now today, steel plants all run over the PLCs and in the control rooms. And there is complete intelligence there. If someone hacks it and does something, you are in trouble. Now that's what is happening with the internet, IT and the information. And that's what we need to challenge. That's a big challenge. And the last thing, there is a sense of great inequality. All of us loved equality. All of us said that when we have democracies, when we have the countries going for that, from the kings or the military rulers, we thought that there is equal opportunity for everybody. But again, recently, if you see the studies, it shows that it has become greatly unequal one. If your parents are well educated, your family life is stable, that child has a much better chance than the child whose family life is not stable or whose parents are not so well off. Now, how do you manage that, and how the impact of that on the social scenario is something one needs to wonder. And it's the job of the management or the managers to look at it. It's not something which the government is going to do. You can see some of this turmoil, what you see in the business today. The companies which were number one or so in the early part of the century could maintain their rank. Recently, if you see, if you are number 10, you can go down to number 80, or you can go up to number 1. Now that's a kind of fluctuation you can see in your performance. And the average life of the companies in Fortune 500 has gone down drastically. So these are all the signs of the turmoil or the churn what is happening in our industry or in our business. However, all things are not lost. There are certain values, certain principles which are there for lifetime, and I think those is something one must continuously look at. There was a research done by Shell and later on at Stanford which showed some basic things of the good companies. Because even in the past century and this century also, we continue to see these good companies. Look at GE, look at Coca-Cola, look at P&G, look at DuPont, look at the Tata Group. All strong in the last century, all strong, going strong in this century as well. And what are the common themes? And that was the research which showed that there are 4 things fundamentally. Number 1, all these companies are very, very socially conscious. And socially conscious does not mean only the CSR or things like this. Society around is important, but the environment, the economic environment and the technological environment. Economic, technological, social and the environment as we understand. These 4 things these companies continuously look at. The second thing is they are very, very cohesive and strong sense of identity. There is a great deal of teamwork, respect for each other, looking after people kind of a sentiment which all these companies have in common. The third thing is about the diversity in the talent. These companies deliberately nurture some outliers, some odd thinkers whom we call as sometimes nuts or whatever it is, but that's what makes these companies always on the toes. And lastly, they are very conservative in their finance decisions. They will not take very big bets or something like this. They will be very conservative because that's not the way the money or the business is run. So 4 things: sensitive to environment, a very strong sense and a loyal, emphatic workforce, a cohesive sense of being together, a diversity, and most important is the financing is conservative. And what are the core values? It's safety of the people, the quality of the products, it's the environment, and it's respect for the individuals. I think these are the fundamental values by which all these companies run, and that's what makes them lasting. So I think, just to conclude, no matter how turbulent or the vibrant or violent the world is, how many difficulties we have, there are some basic values. If we are able to imbibe those, stick to them and continue progression, I think the companies have a great future. So once again, thank you for having me here, giving me this opportunity, and congratulations once again to IMA for their great success.